of cities where dreams like hers, a beacon of hope rising from the hush. Let's stop the war, let love arise underneath the same blue skies.
Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling the Productivity Handbook. It's a pretty comprehensive guide with tons of practical strategies for, getting more done in less time.
Oh yeah, this one's packed with good stuff.
So we'll see if we can condense a whole book's worth of advice down into, one digestible episode for you guys.
Sounds like a challenge.
And a little bit about the author. The author is Shu Chen Hou, PhD, and she's got a really interesting background.
Yeah, she's quite accomplished.
She started in science, then moved into writing, composing music, and she even founded her own company.
Really impressive.
So she seems to really know a thing or two about managing time effectively.
That's for sure. And that actually ties in nicely with how the book is structured. It kind of walks you through the process, starting with why productivity matters, and then it dives into those practical techniques.
Okay. So let's start with the basics. How does this handbook actually define productivity?
Well, it boils it down to achieving more with less. But it's not just about quantity. It really emphasizes efficiency, effectiveness, and the impact of your work.
Oh, so it's not just about being busy all day.
No, not at all. You could be running around like crazy, but if you're not working on the right things, are you really being productive?
Right. It's like spinning your wheels, but not actually getting anywhere.
Exactly. And the book goes into detail about all those factors that influence productivity. Things like goal setting, time management, focus, energy levels, even your existing skills and knowledge.
So it's kind of a holistic approach, not just about working harder, but working smarter.
Yeah. And what's interesting is how interconnected all these factors are. You can't really isolate one without impacting the others. Like imagine you're tackling a task that requires skills you haven't quite mastered yet.
Oh yeah, that can be draining.
It can really drain your energy, mess with your focus, and ultimately affect your overall productivity.
It's like a domino effect.
Exactly. And that's why the book really highlights those positive ripple effects of being productive. It's not just about checking things off a list.
Right, it's about more than that.
It's about reducing stress, achieving a better work-life balance, even fueling personal and professional growth.
So the benefits extend beyond just getting things done.
Absolutely. Think about how much more you could accomplish if you had less stress and more time for the things you love.
Okay, now I'm seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
It's not just about being efficient. It's about living a better life.
That's the idea.
So the book digs deep into goal setting, specifically SMART goals. Those that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound.
Right. SMART goals are really powerful. They bring so much clarity to the table and help you break down those massive objectives into smaller, manageable steps.
So instead of saying, I want to write a book, you'd say something like, I want to write a 50,000-word fantasy novel by the end of the year.
Exactly. Now you've got something concrete to work with, something you can track and measure. And just imagine that motivation boost as you start hitting those daily or weekly word counts.
It's about setting yourself up for success.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the accountability factor. Having clear, specific goals makes it so much easier to stay on track and hold yourself accountable.
Makes sense. Okay, enough about goals for now. Let's move on to everyone's favorite topic, time management.
Always a hot topic.
I'm always looking for new tips in this area.
Well, this book has got you covered. It's full of techniques, some classics, some maybe a little more surprising. It covers creating schedules, daily, weekly, and even monthly time blocking and prioritizing tasks.
Okay, so it's not just about having a to-do list. I should actually be blocking out specific time slots for specific tasks.
Exactly. And it really stresses the importance of using a system to prioritize those tasks. Something like the Eisenhower matrix.
Okay, I've heard of that, but can you give me a quick refresher on how that works?
Sure. It's all about categorizing your tasks based on urgency and importance. Is it something that needs to be done right now? Can it wait? Can you delegate it? Or can you just get rid of it altogether?
So it helps you figure out where to focus your energy.
Exactly. It prevents you from getting bogged down by those urgent but not important tasks that can eat up your whole day.
This is already making me rethink my to-do list. But let's be real. Sometimes even the best laid plans can't save us from procrastination.
Oh, procrastination. The struggle is real.
And the book actually delves into the psychology behind it. looking at things like fear of failure, perfectionism, and that feeling of being overwhelmed.
It's about understanding the root cause so you can adjust it effectively.
So it's not just laziness. There are deeper reasons why we put things off.
Exactly. And the good news is the book provides a whole arsenal of strategies to combat procrastination. From breaking down those big, scary tasks into smaller steps, to setting deadlines and rewarding yourself for progress.
I like that breaking things down always makes me feel less overwhelmed.
Yeah.
What about distractions? It feels like that's a huge part of procrastination for me.
Oh, absolutely. The book tackles that head on. It offers tips for managing those external distractions like social media and email, as well as those internal ones like negative self-talk and anxiety.
So it's about creating a more focused environment, both internally and externally.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered goal setting, time management, and battling procrastination. What else does this book get into?
Well, up next we have focus and concentration, which are obviously essential for getting things done efficiently.
Can't argue with that.
And the book dives into all sorts of techniques to improve both from mindfulness and meditation to creating a distraction-free workspace.
It's all about finding what works for you.
Mindfulness for productivity. It's an interesting one. I've always struggled with meditation, though.
It's not about emptying your mind completely. It's more about cultivating that awareness of your thoughts and gently redirecting your attention back to the task at hand when it inevitably wanders. It takes practice, but the book makes a really compelling case for its benefits.
So it's like training your mind to be more focused.
Exactly. And along with meditation, the book recommends some practical tools like noise-canceling headphones, using time-blocking techniques, and even specific apps designed to enhance focus.
Okay, I'm all about trying out new tools. Speaking of tools, the book also emphasizes the importance of work-life balance, which isn't something I usually associate with productivity.
Right. It might seem counterintuitive, but the book argues that a good work-life balance can actually make you more productive.
How so?
When you're burnt out and neglecting your personal life, it inevitably spills over into your work. You're less focused, less motivated, and more prone to mistakes.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I get way less done.
Right.
So what kind of strategies does the book suggest for finding that balance?
It covers things like setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, and being mindful about when you unplug from work. It's about creating a sustainable rhythm that allows you to thrive in both your professional and personal life.
This has given me a lot to think about. It's not just about checking things off a list. It's about creating a more fulfilling and productive life overall.
Exactly. And we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to unpack in this book. One of the things that really stood out to me in the book was the emphasis on delegation and outsourcing.
Oh yeah, that can be a game changer, but I always struggle with it.
It can be tough to let go of control.
It is. I always worry about things not getting done right or, losing track of the project.
I totally get it. It's a common concern. But the book makes a really strong point about how mastering delegation is essential for maximizing your time and resources. It's about recognizing your own limitations and leveraging the expertise of others.
Okay, so how do I know which tasks to delegate? And how do I do it effectively?
Well, the book provides a really helpful framework for delegation. It emphasizes choosing the right tasks, the right people, and setting crystal clear expectations. You don't want to just dump a task on someone without giving them the context and support they need to succeed.
Right. It's not about just passing off work you don't want to do. It's about empowering others to contribute.
Exactly. And delegation isn't just about getting things off your plate. It's also an opportunity to develop the skills of others and build a stronger team.
Okay, that makes sense. What about technology? There are so many tools and apps out there promising to boost productivity. It's overwhelming.
It can be. But the book dedicates a whole chapter to using technology strategically. It covers everything from project management software to communication platforms to those automation tools that handle those tedious, repetitive tasks we all hate.
So it's not just about having the latest gadgets. It's about using technology mindfully to streamline your workflow.
Exactly. And it cautions against falling into the trap of shiny object syndrome, constantly chasing the newest app or tool without really thinking about whether it's actually going to benefit you.
Right. It's about finding what truly meets your needs. Speaking of finding what works for you, I have to confess, workspace organization is a constant struggle for me. My desk is usually a disaster zone.
Oh, I feel that. Well, the book actually has some really insightful advice on workspace organization. It stresses the link between a cluttered environment and a cluttered mind.
Okay, that resonates with me.
Yeah.
When my desk is a mess, I feel completely overwhelmed.
It's hard to focus when you're surrounded by chaos. The book recommends regular decluttering, creating a solid filing system, and keeping your workspace clear of any unnecessary items.
So a little organization can go a long way.
It can. It creates a sense of calm and control. And then there's the question of multitasking.
Oh, yeah. Is that a yes or no in the book?
It's not a black and white issue.
Yeah.
The book actually encourages what it calls mindful multitasking.
Mindful multitasking. What does that even mean?
It's about recognizing that some types of multitasking can be effective, while others are just a recipe for distraction and poor quality work.
So like listening to music while doing a repetitive task might be okay. But trying to write a report while answering emails and having a conversation is probably a bad idea.
Exactly. It's about being intentional with your time and energy and knowing when to focus on one thing at a time.
That makes sense. So what about continuous learning? How do you even find the time for that when you're already so busy?
Well, the book suggests weaving learning into your routine, even if it's just for a few minutes each day. It could be as simple as reading an article, listening to a podcast, or taking a short online course. The key is to stay curious and keep expanding your knowledge and skill set.
I love that even small steps can make a big difference over time. Okay, last but not least, we need to talk about tracking and analyzing productivity. I have to admit, I'm not great at this.
It can feel like extra work on top of everything else. But the book really emphasizes the value of tracking your productivity, not just for the sake of data, but to identify patterns, see where you can improve, and ultimately make more informed decisions about how you spend your time.
So it's about using data to become more self-aware and optimize your approach.
Exactly. And there are tons of ways to do it, from simple productivity journals to sophisticated apps and spreadsheets. It's about finding a method that works for you and your workflow.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. We've covered so much ground. From understanding the true meaning of productivity to those practical strategies for managing time-conquering procrastination and even leveraging technology and creating an organized workspace.
And we've touched on delegation, mindful multitasking, continuous learning, and tracking our progress. It's about so much more than just checking things off a list. It's about designing a more fulfilling and productive life.
Wow. I don't know about you, but after that deep dive into the Productivity Handbook, I'm feeling super inspired.
Me too. It's incredible how much practical advice is packed into that book.
It really is. Yeah. And one of the things that really stuck with me is how it emphasizes that productivity isn't just about quantity. It's also about quality.
Yeah.
You know, making sure you're getting the right things done and doing them well.
Totally. And finding that balance between quantity and quality, it's an ongoing process. It's about figuring out what works for you, your goals, your work style.
Exactly. Which is where all those strategies and techniques from the book come in handy. It's like having a whole toolkit of options to try out.
Exactly. The key is to experiment, adapt, and continuously refine your approach to productivity. Because what works for one person might not work for another.
Oh, that's so true. I've definitely fallen into that trap of trying to force myself to use a method just because it worked for someone else.
We've all been there.
And that's where self-awareness comes in. It's about understanding your own strengths, weaknesses, and preferences when it comes to productivity.
So it's not about trying to become some kind of productivity robot. It's about finding what makes you most productive. Exactly. And the book really encourages that sense of curiosity and continuous learning, staying open to new ideas and approaches.
Speaking of new ideas, is there one thing from this deep dive that you're personally going to try implementing in your own life?
You know, I'm really intrigued by that concept of mindful multitasking. I think being more intentional about when I multitask and when I need to really laser focus on a single task, that can make a big difference.
That's a great one. For me, I think I'm going to revisit my whole goal setting process. Really make sure my goals are smart. I have a tendency to get caught up in the big picture and forget to break things down into those smaller, actionable steps.
I love those takeaways. And remember, even small tweaks to how you approach time and tasks, those can add up to some pretty big changes over time.
Absolutely. It's not about becoming a productivity guru overnight. It's about those consistent efforts that lead to real lasting change.
Well said. I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the Productivity Handbook. Hopefully you've all gleaned some valuable insights and practical strategies to up your own productivity game.
We've covered a lot of ground. From the fundamental principles of productivity to specific techniques for managing time-conquering procrastination, and even leveraging technology to our advantage.
And perhaps most importantly, we've explored that idea that productivity isn't just about getting more done. It's about creating a more fulfilling and productive life overall.
So keep learning, keep experimenting, and keep striving to achieve more with less stress and more joy along the way.
Until next time, happy productivity hacking, everyone, to you.
In the silence of the night, where shadows roam, I cry for peace, a longing to come home. In fields of sorrow, where tears are shed, a prayer for love to heal what's bled. Let's stop the war. Let love arise. Underneath the same blue skies, for in unity we'll find our way towards a world where love holds sway. In the echoes of gunfire, hearts grow cold, a plea for kindness, for stories untold. In the rubble of cities where dreams like hers, a beacon of hope rising from the hush. Let's stop the war, let love arise underneath the same blue sky. For in the embrace of love's warm light, banish darkness and the fight. Let's stop the war, let love rise underneath the same blue skies. For in unity we'll find our way towards a world where love holds sway. Every step towards peace we take, let love be the path. For in unity we find our way to every step towards peace we take. Love be the path we make. For in the embrace of love's warm light, with every step towards peace we take. Love be the path we make. For in the embrace of love's warm light, banish darkness and fight. Let's stop the war, let love arise underneath the same blue skies. For in unity we'll find our way towards a world where love holds sway. With every step towards peace we take, love be the path we make. For in the embrace of love's warm light, we'll banish darkness and the fight. Let's stop the war, let love arise underneath the same blue skies. For in unity we'll find our way towards a world where love holds sway. As the dawn breaks and darkness fades away, may peace reign forever, come what may. Let's join hands, in unity we stand. So as a world of peace is spread, as the sun breaks and darkness fades away, may peace reign forever, come what may. Let's join hands, in unity we stand.